Hello again. We are Paula Harrison and Tim Lamm, also known as Steps in Time Historical Dance. This is our 5th video illustrating the steps and techniques of early Argentine tango as presented by Nicanor Lima in his book, Method for Dancing el Tango Argentino de Salón, published about 1960 in Argentina. In this video, we continue our discussion of Chapter 12 of Lima's book. This chapter deals with medias lunas, which Lima defines as figures in which the same steps are repeated, forward and backward, first on one side and then on the other. Furthermore, he says they must occupy 2 to 4 measures of music. In our video number 4, we covered the medias lunas consisting of all slow steps. Today, we will look at the medias lunas that contain some quick steps. In our previous video, we emphasized that each media luna can be done in literally hundreds of ways. We can do it in waltz position, in Yale position, or in promenade position. We can follow a path that is in line of direction, sideways, or oblique. We can start with the left foot or the right foot and go forward or backward. We can use smooth steps or dipping steps or alternate them, and so on. In this video, as before, we will only show examples of medias lunas using waltz position or promenade position, in line of direction or sideways, and using smooth steps. Media luna number 1, the Sanjuanina, is the familiar tango box step. Lima defines it as 1 paso de tango acompasado, number 1 forward and 1 backward, like this. For the lateral version, we can cross through first, or we can cross outside first. In promenade position, in general, Lima says, the dancers do the same steps, but on the opposite foot. In other words, they mirror each other. Well, this poses a problem. How do we do side steps in this position without getting separated from each other? In some cases, it's feasible to face each other briefly. But we have decided that in many cases, the best solution is to turn side steps into forward or back steps. The box step version of media luna number 1 uses saltito number 1, quick steps, side close. Lima says you can also do it using saltitos 2 or 3. So here is media luna number 1 using saltito 2. And using saltito 3. Now this figure takes 2 measures of music. So according to Lima's definition of a media luna, it is legitimate to extend it to 3 or 4 measures by adding more steps. Media luna number 8, the Mendocina, is essentially media luna number 1 extended by 2 crossing steps. Here is the in-line version. And here is the lateral version. That could also be done with saltitos 2 and 3. In the following exercise to the tune El Choclo, we show Media Luna number 1 4 ways using saltito number 1 in the A music. We repeat the variations using saltito 2 in the B music and 3 in the C music. Then we repeat the whole sequence, A, B, C, for Media Luna number 8. Another way to extend Media Luna number 1 is to do 2 or 3 saltitos instead of just 1. That gives us Media Luna number 9, the Tucuman. Now that was the lateral version described by Lima. He does not explicitly say how to do it in line of direction, but we imagine it would look like this. And it would be possible to do that Media Luna using saltitos 2 or 3, but we will omit those variations. Media Luna number 11, the Puntana, extends number 1 another way by adding a paso pique acompasado. Lima says you may do this Media Luna using saltitos 2 and 3 as well. In the next study, we show 4 variations of Media Luna number 9 in waltz position, and repeat those variations in promenade position. Then we show 4 variations of Media Luna number 11. We show each of those using saltitos 1, 2, and 3. Our tune is Seducción, or enticement. Media Luna number 5, the Salteña, is an odd figure. It consists of 4 saltitos number 1 done in a diamond pattern, like this. Usually saltito number 1 is side close, 2 changes of weight. But in this figure, the first and third saltito are side touch, 1 change of weight. Now we imagine that the lateral version of that Media Luna would look like this. So the lead has to clearly distinguish between 1 change of weight and 2. Media Luna number 12, the Gordoreza, is another interesting figure and one of our favorites. Lima first describes the lateral version and says it consists of 4 pasos de tango acompasados number 4, turning a quarter with each. Now this is interesting because it's the first time he has mentioned paso de tango acompasado number 4. He described numbers 1, 2, and 3 back in chapter 5, but there was no number 4. Apparently, it's the same thing as Paso de Tango Acompasado number 1, the box step, but starting with a crossing step instead of a straight step, like this. Another interesting thing about this figure is that the sequence of steps repeats on the same side instead of on the opposite side. So here is Media Luna number 12 laterally. In our final exercise, we show Medias Lunas 5 and 12 4 ways: in waltz position, in line of direction, waltz position laterally, promenade position in line of direction, and promenade position laterally. We repeat all these variations on the other foot. And we end with a coda using Media Luna number 5 obliquely plus a media vuelta, or half turn. The tune is Buongiorno by North American composer Dan Kassler, 1914. This concludes our presentation of Chapter 12 of Lima's book. In our next and final video of this series, we will look at Lima's guidelines for composing an entire tango dance. You don't want to miss that.